When she came out, the sandy-whiskered gentleman was sitting on a log reading a newspaper. At least it was spread out, but he was looking over the top of it. He was so polite that he seemed almost sorry to let Jemima go home for the night. He promised to take great care of her nest until she came back again the next day. He said he loved eggs and ducklings, and she should be proud to see a fine nestful in his woodshed. Jemima Puddle Duck came every afternoon. Excuse me. She laid 9 eggs in the nest. They were greeny, white, and very large. The foxy gentleman admired them immensely. He used to turn them over and count them when Jemima wasn't there. At last, Jemima told him that she intended to begin to sit on them the next day. I'll bring a bag of corn with me so that I need never leave my nest until the eggs are hatched. They might get cold, said the conscientious Jemima. Madam, I beg you not to trouble yourself with a bag. I will provide oats. But before you commence your tedious sitting, I intend to give you a treat. Let us have a dinner party all to ourselves. May I ask you to bring up some herbs from the farm garden to make a savory omelet? Sage and thyme, mint and 2 onions and some parsley. I will provide lard for the stuff, lard for the omelet, and a hospitable gentleman with the sandy whiskers. Jemima Puddle Duck was a simpleton. Not even mention of sage and onions made her suspicious. She went around the farm garden, nibbling off snippets of all different sorts of herbs that are used for stuffing roast duck. And she waddled into the kitchen and got 2 onions out of a basket. The collie dog Kep met her coming out. What are you doing with those onions? Where do you go every afternoon by yourself, Miss Jemima Puddle Duck? Jemima was rather in awe of the collie. She told him the whole story. The collie listened with his wise head on one side. He grinned when she described the polite gentleman with the sandy whiskers. He asked several questions. Then he asked several questions about the wood and the exact position of the house and shed. Then he went out and trotted down to the village. He went to look for that 2 foxhound puppies who were out for a walk with the butcher. Jemima went up the cart road for the last time on a sunny afternoon. She was rather burdened with bunches of herbs and 2 onions in a bag. She flew over the wood and alighted opposite the house of the bushy, long-tailed gentleman. He was sitting on a log, sniffed in the air, kept glancing uneasily around the wood. When Jemima alighted, he quite jumped. Come on into the house as soon as you have looked at your eggs. Give me the herbs for the omelet. Be sharp. He was rather abrupt. Jemima Puddle Duck had never heard him speak like that. She felt surprised. She was uncomfortable. While she was inside, she heard pattering feet around the back of the shed. Someone with a black nose sniffed at the bottom of the door and then locked it. Jemima became much alarmed. A moment afterwards, there were most awful noises of barking and baying and growls and howls, squealing and groans, and nothing more was ever seen of that foxy whiskered gentleman. Presently Kep opened the door of the shed and let out Jemima Puddle Duck. Unfortunately, the puppies rushed in and gobbled up all the eggs before he could stop them. He had a bite on his ear and both the puppies were limping. Jemima Puddle Duck was escorted home in tears on account of those eggs. She laid some more in June, and she was permitted to keep them herself, but only 4 of them hatched. Jemima Puddle Duck said it was because of her nerves, but she had always been a bad sitter. The end.